Hello, my name is Kristen Lees, and I am a graduate student with Widener University. I am going to be presenting to you a very important presentation about Erik Erikson, his theory of development, identity versus role confusion in adolescence, which is arguably one of the major times in development. I'm going to expand on role confusion, what it means to the adolescent, and how it can lead to pragmatic issues such as substance abuse and juvenile delinquency. We will then discuss how we as social workers play a role in the development of the adolescent and the difference between successful identity and role confusion. I know this seems like a lot of information, but is going to be presented to you in a thoughtful manner. So let's get started. First, a little about me. As I said before, my name is Kristen, and I live in South Jersey, which is what I like to call the real Jersey Shore, right outside of Ocean City, a family-friendly summer place with the best beaches. I currently work with a mental health agency as a foster care support specialist. I learned early on in my social work career that working with at-risk youth was a passion of mine. I am fortunate enough that I've been given opportunities that allow me to follow that passion. I am looking forward to completing my master's here at Widener and obtaining my LSW, and will then work towards my LCSW. I believe that these steps will allow me to become a well-rounded social worker so that I can make a difference in the lives of the children I will meet. So now that you know me fairly well, let's move on to who this project is really about. So who is Erik Erikson? Here are your basic facts. He was born in 1902 in Germany and is known as one of the most popular psychoanalysts of the 20th century. Erikson focused on both the social and psychological aspects of a person, which separated him from other theorists, most notably Freud. Although much of his theoretical work is challenged, his basic developmental framework continues today to be a basic school of thought. His lifespan model of development, including 5 different stages up to the age of 18 and beyond, well into adulthood. He placed a great deal of stress on the adolescent period, believing that this is a crucial stage in developing one's identity. Altogether, Erikson had 8 stages of development, believing that there is always room for continued growth and development throughout a person's life, and this is what set him apart. So now that we are clear that Erikson believed that this is a crucial stage, exactly what does identity versus role confusion mean? Adolescence is age-ranged from 12 to 18 years old. Although, given some new scientific information, this can expand into a person's early 20s. However, for this presentation, we are speaking about a person's teen years, the crucial years. This is the transition from childhood to adulthood. This is when a teen is becoming more independent and will look toward the future, such as career goals, relationships, and families. Adolescents will explore possibilities in an attempt to form their sense of self. Failure for that individual to find their sense of self is what leads to role confusion. This is when the individual is not sure of themselves or of their surroundings, essentially being unsure of who you are. This unsureness can lead to experimentation with different religions, different circles of friends, and different behaviors. So what is identity? This term can be difficult to define. Identity is not only described as a sense of self, it is also referred to as a person's attitude or a person's resolution. However, the most in-depth definition that I feel covers exactly what we believe to identity to mean comes from author James Marcia. He defines identity as an internal, self-constructed, dynamic organization of a person's drive, abilities, and beliefs. The more intact the structure is, the more strength a person feels making their way into the world. Identity is a dynamic process with aspects continuously being added or taken away. And this is not necessarily a neat process. As an adolescent is making their way down different paths, trying to find their true sense of who they are, there are times where they will feel doubt, fear, and anxiety. This is when outside variables such as friends, peers, and people in the community and school environment will play a role in developing a person's sense of self, their identity. Erikson believed when a person was successful in finding self, they were healthy and well-adjusted, a term otherwise known as fidelity. Now that we have a concrete idea on the term identity, we can now explore the part that role confusion plays. This breaks down to the struggle of being unique, all the while fitting in. This breaks down to being uncertain about who they are. When role confusion happens, an individual can become disconnected or cut off from others. Or this individual who does not have a secure sense of self can become easily pressured into situations and attempt to fit in and does what it takes to fit in, perhaps even taking part in behaviors they know not to be right. When it comes to role confusion, this is when an adolescent can go down the wrong path. Now we are going to watch a short video that will help bring this all together. Now that we have a clear understanding of role confusion and the effect that it can have on a teen, we now need to walk with the teen down the confused path and see where it leads. Since a teen who does not have a strong sense of self can give in to peer pressure easily, we need to speak about some of the risk factors that they may encounter. A risk factor is anything that increases the likelihood that a person will suffer from harm or can increase the probability that a person will become violent. So in this context, the biggest factor that a teen can face is role confusion itself. However, what else can this lead to? For starters, experimentation with drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or any combination of these is not uncommon in individuals under the age of 18, and the use of these substances signal antisocial attitudes and a precursor to early involvement in a delinquent lifestyle. Another behavior that needs to be acknowledged is a teen's involvement in general offenses such as skipping school, fighting, and shoplifting. This is also a precursor that perhaps this individual is heading down the wrong path and is perhaps struggling with their identity. Another behavior that can signal that perhaps a teen is struggling is aggressive and disruptive behavior, which includes verbal aggression and aggression towards people or objects. Behaviors such as impulsiveness, short attention span, and being daring are also behaviors that should not be ignored. The behaviors and risk factors discussed above are not clear-cut signs that a teen is either dealing with role confusion or on a path to self-destruction. They are not themselves causes of juvenile delinquency or substance abuse. However, in order to be considered risk factors, there is evidence to suggest that these behaviors can lead to future substance abuse and criminal activity. The role confusion that the adolescent may be feeling is what leads to experimentation with behaviors that they know to be wrong. Since they are struggling with who they are, the teen may not necessarily care. This is not a picture of a healthy, well-adjusted teen. This now concludes part 1 of the presentation. Please continue on to part 2.